Hello everyone, welcome back to Very Vivid News, where we talk about the most pressing matters on the internet right now. So, today we're going to be talking about, I'm sure you've heard of it sometime in your high school career, it's a very common novel, Lord of the Flies by William Golding. And we're going to be comparing that to a philosopher by the name of Erikson and his theory on the stages of development of a human being. So I'm sure also in your high school career, you guys probably heard of ASAP Science. They make child-friendly science videos in the form of a whiteboard animation where they draw and explain the material in a very easy to understand way. So we decided to collaborate with ASAP Science and make a whiteboard animation with them to explain Erikson's theory in correlation to the novel Lord of the Flies. So without further ado, here it is.
We're here today to talk about Erikson's psychosocial stages of development in relation to the Lord of the Flies. Starting off, what is Erikson's psychosocial stages of development? Well, it's his theory on how an individual's character develops. His theory includes 8 different stages in which a person must overcome to develop as a person. Every individual has to overcome each stage to develop their character and to grow as a person. Each stage will hold crises that the individual will have to prevail over. If they fail to surpass a stage, it will impact their lives majorly. The stages are: Number 1, trust versus mistrust, autonomy versus shame, initiative versus guilt, industry versus inferiority, identity versus role confirmation, intimacy versus isolation, generativity versus stagnation, ego, integrity versus despair. Today, we'll mostly be focusing on stages 3, 4, and 5 in relation to the novel because those stages relate to the age groups of the boys in the Lord of the Flies most. Beginning with stage 3, initiative versus guilt. In this stage, the children will start to take initiative by planning activities, accomplishing tasks, and overcoming challenges. The guardians and caregivers need to give encouragement to the individual and help them make the right choices. It is their job to set boundaries and to reinforce what they are told. In The Lord of the Flies, our main protagonist, Ralph, tries to fill this void of a caregiver that the kids have. He attempts to guide the kids to do the right thing that are necessary for the kids' survival. But, due to a large amount of boys and his lack of experience, as you'd expect from a 12-year-old, he fails to steer the majority of the boys toward the right side of the civilization. When the kids fail to do what they are told, he does not reprimand them for their failure, leading to the perpetual cycle of nothing getting done. Moving on to the next stage of Erikson's stages of psychosocial development, we have the 4th stage of industry versus inferiority. During this stage, the child will be able to complete more complex tasks. When interacting with their peers, they may discover that their aptitude for certain things are more capable than that of the others. This builds confidence in the mind of the child. We can most prominently see this in the development of Jack, more specifically when he's praised mightily by everyone when he brings back meat. The boys revel Jack in glory and commend him for his superior hunting skills. This causes Jack to feel extremely confident to the point of arrogance. This stage also includes how peers influence each other through constant interaction. The development of an individual is hugely impacted by those around him. In Lord of the Flies, those who stayed near Ralph remained more civilized. For example, Piggy, Sam and Eric, and Simon. Ralph is the main example of civilization throughout the book, and those who surrounded him reflected that. On the other hand, those who chose to hang with Jack were subsequently influenced towards savagery. These include the boys, Robert and Roger. As the main example of savagery, those around Jack were made to be savages all the same. And now, the final stage we'll be talking about, Stage 5, Identity versus Role Confusion. Individuals in this stage will be focusing on their own personality development. The person will start to establish a sense of self, which will lead them to trying out different roles, activities, and behaviors. This will lend a hand in developing a strong identity and a sense of direction in life for the person to grow into. This explains why the hunters become savages faster than everyone else. The occupation that they immersed themselves in nurtured their inner aggressiveness and bloodthirsty ways. The boys who didn't participate in hunting stayed civilized, like Simon and Piggy. And that, my dear viewers, was Erikson's psychosocial stages of development in relation to the characters of The Lord of the Flies.
Wow, that was fantastic. Can we get a round of applause for ASAP Science and our very vivid production team? Great job, guys. It was great. Well, that's all we have for today, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to tune in next Sunday at 7 p.m. See you guys next time.
As the main example of savagery, those around Jack were made to be savages all the same. As the main example of savagery, as the main example of savagery, savagery, as the main example,
Say everything except savagery and then cut my voice in saying savagery.
As the main example of savagery, as the main example of savagery, shut the up! As the main example of savagery, those around Jack were made to be savages all the same.